Welcome to Beyond Just Money with me, Samta, and today I have the head of content of Kalkinemedia, Nidhi Sinha, with me as our guest speaker. And today we are going to discuss about the pockets of solar energy opportunities in Australia. Welcome, Nidhi.
Thanks, Samta, for having me on the show.
Well, perhaps solar energy is one of the most important forms of renewable energy because it is vastly available clean energy resource. So what are your views on the same?
Solar energy is definitely the most important form of renewable energy, and there is a need to install and embed efficient solar power plants into different business realms to kind of convert the radiation into something useful. Once this is done, then there will be fuel that is free for life. The amount of radiation received by the Earth's surface in merely a few hours can actually provide energy to the entire world for months. This energy could be used for several commercial and industrial purposes without causing almost any harm to our environment. So, considering the benefits and the amount of solar power available freely, solar energy is definitely, the fuel of the future.
Definitely, Nidhi, and it would be great if you could decode Australia's relationship with solar energy for our listeners.
Well, Australia receives the highest radiation per square meter. The continent is one of the best places for solar energy resources. The amount of solar radiation that Australia receives is, about 10,000 times higher than its total energy consumption. On average, if you see, it receives 58 million what you call petajoules or PJ of solar radiation. Impressively, solar, thermal and photovoltaic technologies are substantially improving in Australia. A study released by the Royal Melbourne Institute of Technology, brought to notice that Australia's government-owned airports are actually the ideal places for solar power plant installation. 1.3 million homes can receive power if solar panels are installed on airports' rooftops. This will actually play a significant role in achieving its net zero emissions goal. So, some the installation of solar plants on airport roofs is going to be a much more efficient way for the generation of power through solar energy. If you look at what the Journal of Building Engineering has to say, the town of Bendigo has 17,000 residential solar panels. If 21 federal airports of the town are used for solar panel installation, they would produce 10 times more electricity than 17,000 residential plants. So you can see the difference is huge. This may further help in reducing greenhouse gas emissions by 15.6 kilotons a year. So airport roofs are most efficient for solar panels because they're not surrounded by tall buildings and trees, and they receive complete sun exposure. And that is what makes airports an ideal place for solar energy panels.
What are your views on the zero carbon future for Australia?
If you look at Dr. Chain Soon, a geospatial scientist in RMIT, what he believes is that harnessing this power source would avoid 63 kilotons of coal being burned in Australia each year on average. This will be an important step towards a zero carbon future.
And what are the recent developments in Australia on the solar energy front?
As far as recent developments in the continent are concerned, the government-owned water utility in Australia has recently completed its substantial solar installation project. Under this project, basically, more than 350,000 PV or photovoltaic panels have been installed across 33 water treatment plants and pump stations across regions of southern Australia. This project, if you see, is manifested under the Zero Cost Energy Future initiative. Also, under this project, SA Water has established the world's largest fully movable solar array at its Happy Valley reservoir. This provides drinking water to more than 40% of total SA Water customers around metropolitan Adelaide. The Australian National University report says that renewable energy in Australia is expanding 10 times faster than the world average per capita. Various solar panel recycling plants have been installed, and the first one is up and running in Thomastown, Melbourne. Notably, Australia is also expanding its horizons for solar energy. Global data says that Australia's solar capacity will hit 80 GW by 2030. The report also says that solar installation will increase by a factor of 4 to reach the target of 80 GW. Global data analyst Aditya Sharma has in fact said that Australia is planning to compensate for the decline in thermal and hydropower capacity with renewable power capacity growth. The growth rate of 18.4% of renewable energy that you see in Australia, Samta, is actually double the average global growth rate. So, our future clearly depends on our ability to utilize solar and other renewable sources of energy. Expanding technologies, granting more subsidies, and encouraging the adoption of these sources will be imperative for a cleaner and greener future, which is, safe for the next generation.
Definitely, Nidhi, and a cleaner and a greener future is indeed what everyone hopes for. So, thank you so much for sharing your insights today with our listeners.
Thanks, Samta. Always a pleasure.
Well, to listen to this podcast again, please log on to our website, that is kalkinemedia.com, or you could also go on to our YouTube channel. Until we see you next with yet another insightful episode of Beyond Just Money, as we say, stay upright and invest wise with Kalkine, your best guide.